how to break the anxious avoidance cycle. If you have an anxious attachment style and need a lot of closeness, reassurance, quality time, affirmations from your partner, and your partner needs a lot of space, independence, freedom, all of the other things that you actually crave, and they're triggered around emotions, vulnerability, little episode is for you. It's a very short one. And it's based on a carousel post I've actually shared exactly 2 years ago. Well, on the 5th of May, 2 years ago. And it had a lot of responses. And I thought I'm just going to share it today in short because it's representing the cycle very well in a kind of a framework. What's happening. And most importantly, how you are the one who can break out of it, because hint, hint, your avoidant partner won't be the one. So I think I'm going to take pictures later and put the carousel here somewhere on the side. You can just follow along with me. So, by the way, I'm Jula here. I'm the Anxious to Secure coach. So let's follow along. It starts with always a trigger, right? The trigger is actually this circumstance. And that is often the words someone says. Let's say our partner says, I want space. Ouch. So it's now your thoughts. If you have an anxious attachment style, you might be thinking, damn, what does this mean? Does he not want to spend time with me anymore? Happy couples should spend a lot of time together with each other. Is he not attractive to me anymore? What is going on? Is he going to leave me? Is he going to reject me? Is there someone else? And you start to spiral, overthink, and your brain is trying to protect you. Now, listen, this is the important part. It is now your thoughts that have created your emotions, not your partner. So now, because you're having these thoughts, you feel either anxious, worry, fear, insecurity, doubt, all of the things, right? You feel this in your body. And because of an emotional reaction, you react in a certain way. You take actions or inactions. You either do something or you don't do something. Let's say you're starting to overthink even more. You can't do anything else. So that's an inaction, right? You can't focus on your work. You can't focus on other things that are going on that you should maybe be planning at work. You are jumping to conclusions. You're trying to mind read your partner. Again, a cognitive distortion, because we can't mind read. We can't know exactly what they're thinking, what they're feeling. We're being very hypervigilant. We're trying to indicate, oh, what is he thinking? What is he feeling? Is his tone shifting? Is he smelling a bit differently today? Is he going to basically abandon me and reject me? You're trying to predict what's going to happen next. So you're comparing your relationship maybe to your friends, because your friends are always, they seem so happy. They never really argue. And maybe to people online, and then you are maybe becoming a little bit contemptuous. You roll your eyes and you're starting to criticize your partner. You should spend more time with me. You shouldn't need that much space. Couples should spend more time together. And then our behaviors create our results. So results could be now there's a strain on the relationship. There's emotional distance between the two of you. There's increased anxiety in your body. You feel more insecure, more anxious, more worried. There's more distrust between the two of you. And you have more doubts and maybe even migraines. That was me all the time. And maybe your stomach really hurts and indigestions, or worse in the end, chronically. So this is the first breakdown. And I want you to notice that there's always a situation. That's what happens. Neutral circumstances. Words someone says, behavior someone did, something like either like your partner says something or they did something, and that is where your abandonment fear is triggered if you have an anxious attachment style. And then this is what triggers your thoughts about the situation. Let's say, he shouldn't, or what if he is going to leave, or what if he's going to reject me? And that means I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, I am not capable of the thing I'm afraid to happen. And your thoughts, again, your thoughts are the one who are creating your emotions, not the words, not the circumstance. Why is this true? Because I could feel completely different by someone's words than you could feel, right? And when my partner used to say something 5 years ago, it would create a completely different emotional response from me back then than it does now. So that's proof that it's our thoughts that are creating this emotional reaction, like anxiety, worry, doubt, fear, insecurity, jealousy, etc., etc. And then our emotions always impact how we then act in our relationships. We either get swooped up into this whole thing. We are using then activating strategies. We are like in fight or flight, for example. We are then clinging onto our relationship or onto our partner emotionally or physically. We are like either really locked into our partner and seeing, oh my God, what if he leaves? So better watch him, watch what he does so he doesn't slip away from me. We're using maybe even fawning strategies. So people pleasing, like, oh, it's okay, let me just forget about everything, to try to create peace, because conflict or silence would be really threatening for your relationship as well, depending on what you've learned, what kept you safe back then when you were a little kid around your parents. You could be also using deactivating strategies, something your partner usually uses the more you're activated. So they're usually shutting down, are getting defensive because they're overwhelmed. So they're either emotionally shutting down and not saying anything, not being responsive, or they're having to walk out. And then again, it triggers your anxiety even more. And then you think, oh, he doesn't care. And all of this, then your behaviors create then the results in your relationship, like distrust, more of a disconnect, you're both more triggered, etc., etc. And I want you to know, I'm not saying this to blame fingers towards you. It's not that you are the problem. It's not that your partner's the problem. It's that you are both are activated. You're both reacting from wounds because your partner also has his own thoughts and emotions and actions based on a trigger. Just like you both have your own circles and cycles here. That is important to know. But the most important thing right now is like here, your thoughts creating your relationship anxiety and your wounds are being triggered based on something that happens right now, but it's actually being triggered from what was created in the past. So your partner's just like re-triggering something from your childhood. So it's much deeper than just, oh, my partner said this. No, they're just triggering something from when your parent was inconsistent and unavailable. So that's why it stings and it hurts. And it all starts with, hey, you know what? Yes, my partner said he wants space and it's really triggering. And I notice all of these thoughts, but hold on, let me pause. Let me notice all of the thoughts are coming up and let me just be curious here. Let me see, how can I pause, write down the thoughts and then challenge them. Are they actually true? Do I 100% know this? Could it be that he just needs to have some space because this is how he feels safe and that is his core value in relationships? And avoidant attachments, especially, they have learned in childhood that space and independence, that's what made them feel safe. And then they come back together and can create a healthy relationship and more closest to another. Versus anxious attachment is the opposite. They have learned through clinging, being really close to your parents and the loved ones. This is how they felt safe. There's no right or wrong here. You need to learn to realize, how do I feel safe? How does my partner feel safe? And instead of telling him what to do, you need to recognize what is actually within my control. I can never control my partner. I can only control me. So let me take care of me first. I go first, because if I can't take care of myself, I can't take care of my kids, of my pets, of my partner. I am in charge of my emotional regulation, of my core needs. And then in the final step, I can see and communicate my needs with my partner and say, you know what, when we're distant for so long, I feel a little disconnected, and it would make me really feel good if we keep in touch, or if I would know, hey, how long do you need space for? That's it. So you're not telling him, hey, you can't have space, you can't have your own thing going on, but you just need to communicate what is something that you need throughout. For example, when you're dating, it's not okay that you're not hearing from another for like 1 week, 2 weeks if you're really exclusively dating, for example. Or if you're in a relationship, it's not okay that your partner just needs like 3 days and completely disappears, don't know where he is. Or maybe when he's at work, you at least communicate and agree that if you text with each other, it's okay if he doesn't reply immediately, but maybe at least once a day when he's at work, you communicate once with each other just to keep this connection alive. But you also agree that you're not gonna double text, triple text when he's at work, and that is his time to also, focus on work. So you need to just find ways that are actually working for both of you. But the more you realize, hey, this whole cycle, it trickles down from our thoughts. And the more we're starting to be curious about our thoughts, challenging them, and realizing, hey, you know what? This is actually an anxious thought triggered by my abandonment fear. It's less about my partner. It's more about my past, my parents. What would my most secure version of me think? How would she then feel? How would she then act? And then later on, you can always say, okay, I maybe actually need more clarity here. But you can't communicate your needs or your wishes to your partner when you're so triggered, when you are already in fight or flight, when you're already thinking, oh my God, he's going to leave me. He doesn't like me. He doesn't want to spend time with me. You can't do that from that place. And that's why then it trickles down to your partner as well. And that's why then he shuts down. He is activating. And when you're activated, he's in his deactivating strategy, and you're in this push and pull cycle. So if you take nothing away from this episode, your thoughts are the most important. It's the most important thing that you can change here in this cycle. It will impact your emotions, not your partner, your actions, and then the results in your relationships. However, now this is important as well, to change your thoughts. You can't do this when you're triggered. When you're highly triggered, you can't think logically. Your logical brain, it is completely shut down in that moment. It's like when you're having your phone and it's completely overheated when it's in the sun, you have to put it in the shade, let it cool down, and then you can turn it on again, and it works. Same for your brain. When you're highly triggered, when your partner is doing something that makes you anxious and triggered and you're spiraling, you can't reframe your thoughts. You can't even access this kind of secure thoughts. So you have to learn to self-soothe, to get away from this spiral, from the trigger, and to learn to give yourself what you need in the moment, and to, self-soothe instead of then running to your partner to co-regulate with you. You have to really interrupt the spiral. And that is just the first step, what I teach in my Secure Woman protocol. That is a workbook with a daily method you can apply for 21 days to become your more secure version of yourself. In the moment, your partner, assistant, pulls away, shuts down a little bit, because you don't have to become, securely attached in this mega step all of a sudden. You can do this with micro moments by interrupting your sabotaging behaviors and starting to learn tools to first learning to self-soothe and not to chase, external emotional dependence from your partner. To secondly, challenge your beliefs and rewire those, what we learned today as well, to not realize, hey, you know what, distance is dangerous, to realize distance can be totally safe and it actually can bring you closer. And instead of all, to meet your needs in micro moments in that way, because your partner is not supposed to make you feel safe all the time. Of course, they are supposed to be safe, but it's not their job to reassure you 500 times a day. If you have an abandonment wound, no amount of reassurance will last and will make you really feel safe unless you feel safe. So in this Secure Woman protocol, I help you to identify your top core needs within the relationship, meet them yourself first, and then also later on how to communicate them in a healthy way that lands with an avoidant. And then there's shadow work in there too. So it's a really great workbook for less than €50. I increased it already like twice. It's amazing value. So before the price goes up, grab it now, and you can also get support with me if you email me. Remember, change in relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and episode by episode. Lots of love, Jula. Bye bye.